She thought she was doing the right thing. She told herself that people make mistakes and that no one is beyond redemption. $10,000. That's what it cost her to bring him home. A decision made out of love, out of duty, or maybe out of fear. A decision that would seal the fate of those she cherished most. It happened quickly, yet agonizingly slow. The kind of tragedy that doesn't just unfold, it seeps, inch by inch, into every crack of normalcy until the walls collapse. And when they did, there was nothing left. No second chances, no last words. Just silence, and the echoes of what could never be undone. The police would later call it one of the most disturbing crime scenes they had ever encountered. The neighbors, who heard something but said nothing, would struggle to sleep at night, and the mother, who spent everything she had to bring him back, would be left with nothing at all. Because in the end, she saved a man who never intended to walk free. He only wanted to be free long enough to make her pay. 911, what's your emergency? He killed them. Oh my God, he killed them all. Some stories stay with you long after they're told. Some decisions cannot be undone, and some warnings come too late. What do you think? Could this tragedy have been prevented? Should he have ever been released? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more stories like this, stories that make you question everything, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because sometimes the most terrifying truths are the ones hiding in plain sight. The call came in just after midnight. The dispatcher's voice was steady, practiced, detached. They had heard panic before. They had heard fear. But this was something else. A woman's voice, barely coherent, gasping between sobs. Words tumble over each other, colliding in terror. But through the hysteria, one sentence stood out, clear, raw, undeniable. He killed them. He killed them all. By the time officers arrived, the house was quiet. No movement, no sounds, nothing to suggest what had happened just minutes before. And then they stepped inside. The scene they walked into would haunt them for the rest of their careers. Some would never speak about it. Others would say it was the worst thing they had ever seen. But the woman who made that call, she would relive it every single day. Because just hours earlier, she had paid $10,000 to set the man inside free, her husband, the father of her children. This is the story of a mother's ultimate betrayal, of trust, of love, and of mercy. A decision made in the name of family that destroyed one forever. To the outside world, they were just another family. Ordinary, unremarkable. A mother, a father, and children laughing in the backyard. Photos of birthdays, holidays, and moments frozen in time. But behind those carefully framed pictures, reality was far more complicated. She was the kind of woman who believed in second chances, the kind who held on even when she should have let go. A mother, a provider, a wife who saw the best in the man she married, even when everyone around her saw something else. He was the kind of man who knew how to say the right things, the kind who could make a promise sound like the truth. A husband, a father, a man with a past she refused to let define him. But the past has a way of catching up, and when it did, it came with police sirens and flashing red lights. His arrest wasn't the first, it wasn't even the worst. But this time, something was different. This time there were bruises. This time there were witnesses. This time there was no easy way to explain it away. The officers took him in. She was given a choice: walk away or bring him home. $10,000. That's what it cost to erase that night. $10,000, and she could have her husband back. $10,000, and the father of her children would be free. She paid, and within hours of his release, something unthinkable happened. Oh my God, he killed them. He killed them all. It started with a signature, just a pen gliding across paper. $10,000. A price she could justify. Because a man is more than his worst moments, right? Because people change. Because love forgives. The bail was set. And just like that, he was free. He walked out of the county jail with nothing but the clothes he had been arrested in. She was waiting for him in the car. He didn't smile. He barely spoke. Just climbed into the passenger seat, stared out the window and whispered, "Let's go home." Neighbors saw them pull into the driveway. He stepped out first, moved slow, controlled. She followed, carrying his things. He didn't open the door for her, he just walked inside. The kids were excited to see their father. They ran to him, arms open, voices high-pitched and happy. He knelt down, hugged them tight, held them a little longer than usual. He told them he loved them. He told them everything was going to be okay. Then he stood up and told them to go play. That was the last time they would ever hear his voice. It started small, a raised voice, a door slamming shut, a thud against the wall. Nothing neighbors hadn't heard before, nothing they hadn't learned to ignore. Around 8:45 p.m., one of them glanced out their window. The lights in the house were still on, but the curtains were drawn. No movement, just stillness, a silence so thick it felt unnatural. And then, but silence is easy to dismiss. So they did. 911 received the call at 11:27 p.m. A woman, hysterical, incoherent at first, gasping, choking on sobs, trying to get the words out. The dispatcher asked her to slow down, to take a deep breath. Then the sentence came, sharp, clear, and final. He killed them. He killed them all. Ma'am, who did? Who's been hurt? My babies. My babies. They're gone. The first officer on the scene knocked. No response. He knocked again. Still nothing. Then a sound, faint from deep inside the house. A creak. A floorboard shifting under weight. Backup arrived. They entered through the back door. Guns drawn. Flashlights slicing through the darkness. The living room was untouched. Toys scattered on the floor. A half-eaten plate of food still sitting on the table. The television was on, playing cartoons. And then they turned the corner. We need paramedics. Now. The walls told the story before he ever spoke. The way the furniture was undisturbed. The way small hands had clutched at nothing. The way the air still smelled like baby shampoo. And then there was the note. You should have left me in there. She didn't wait for an officer to explain. She pushed past them, screamed their names, ran toward the house. And then she saw. She stopped, staggered, let out a sound no one there would ever forget, a sound that didn't seem human. She collapsed on the ground, and in that moment, she realized something that could never be undone. She had saved a man who was never looking for freedom. He just wanted one last chance to make her pay. By the time the sun rose, the house was no longer a home. It was a crime scene, a sealed-off tragedy. And behind those doors, investigators began to piece together the final hours of a family that never saw it coming. And the first discovery? He should never have been released in the first place. Court records revealed the truth. This wasn't his first arrest, not even close. 2008, aggravated assault charge. Victim, ex-girlfriend. 2012, domestic battery. Victim, wife. 2019, child endangerment. Victim, his own son. 3 different cases, 3 different victims, and each time he walked free. The system had given him chance after chance, and each time he got worse. When I get out, you'll see what real pain feels like. Please don't do this. Just talk to me. You'll regret everything, I promise. She thought she could stop him, thought that if she just said the right words, he would change. But he wasn't looking for a conversation. He was waiting for an opportunity. Why did the judge set bail for a man with a violent past? Unfortunately, domestic violence cases are often treated as isolated incidents, not patterns, not warning signs. This was a textbook case of coercive control. He didn't just want to hurt her, he wanted to take everything from her. But the most haunting question, what if someone, anyone, had acted sooner? We heard something that night, but we didn't want to get involved. She was always covering up bruises, but she said he didn't mean it, that it was just stress. Hindsight is a terrible thing. If I had known then what I know now, I never would have granted him bail. A mother trusted the system to protect her. A judge trusted a man to reform. A community trusted that someone else would call for help. And in the end, trust was the deadliest mistake of all. Just when investigators thought they had seen the worst of it, they found something else, something no one was prepared for. She took my freedom, so I took her life, just in a different way. Now she knows what it feels like to lose everything. It wasn't a random act of rage. It wasn't a loss of control. It was planned, calculated, a slow, methodical destruction of everything she loved. He never wanted to kill her. He wanted her to suffer. The evidence is overwhelming. This was not an accident. This was not a moment of passion. This was a massacre. And then, the moment of truth. We, the jury, find the defendant, sentenced to life without parole. But was it enough? Could any sentence bring back what she lost? A mother who believed in second chances, a wife who thought love could heal, a woman who gave her husband his freedom, only for him to take everything she loved in return. Was this preventable? Could anyone have stopped it? Or was the system always bound to fail her? Now I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this case chilling, there are more stories, some even more disturbing than this one. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a case. Hit the like button if you want more deep dive true crime stories.